familiar. So if you don't know by now, then you should probably get familiar.
Hey, Go Format players, it's Skilled Brown Magician here, and huge shout outs to Big Bro Jinzo for having me on his channel and letting me showcase this deck that I've been working on since the beginning of the year. So this is a Horus deck, but it's something really spicy and it's something really special, and I built it a way that I haven't seen it been built this way. And I've looked at all the Horus content, I've been creeping on Discord, looking there too, and I've never seen someone build it like this, and I think I've kind of figured out, I've come up with my own solution to one of the issues with the Horus deck. But before I really get into the profile, I do kind of want to introduce myself. My name's Skilled Brown Magician. My YouTube channel goes by the same name, and one of the cool things that I do is my channel is strictly GOAT format content, and I actually do subscriber recommended profiles. So I have a Dark Paladin, Dimension Gate, OTK deck. I have a Watergate deck featuring Neo Daedalus, and I also have a Dinosaur deck that I'm going to be showcasing soon. And then I also have my Spicy Goat format decks. Man, that's something that's key to my channel, is that I really try to bring the spice in every single deck. I try to bring out cool card choices that you guys haven't seen before, or just using it in combinations with cards that you've seen, but just in new, different ways. So obviously I have my Horus deck here, featuring cards you guys have seen before, but just in combinations that you haven't seen. I have a more casual but spicy Seal Master Maesai deck, and I have a Paladin of White Dragon deck, featuring a really cool vanilla engine that I pioneered. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys could go over and check out the channel, and if you're into GOAT format deck profiles, definitely check it out and give me some recommendations, and I'll potentially build your deck. Alright, so let's talk about Horus decks, man. I've been playing this deck since the beginning of the year, and I've found out some things. BLS is so devastating when they summon it and they swing over your King Dragoon and they swing over your level 6. Tribe Infecting Virus, all my Horus Gate players, you already know, this guy is the bane to all of us. His discard, non-targeting removal is such an issue, clears our whole board. He's a staple, he's in every deck. Huge issue. DD Warrior Lady, another staple, literally in every single deck since the beginning of GOAT format. She's too good. She clears King Dragoon, opens up all their plays. That's an issue. DD Assailant, same thing. Magician of Faith, the ability to pull back spells like Heavy Storm, Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity, whatever their power cards that they could use at the time. Issue, and then of course Cyberjar, right, to clear the field. So the trend that I realized with Horus decks is that they lose to monsters. So I figured, what's the best way to take out monsters so I don't have to deal with this issue anymore? And man, there's so many different cards that I went through, so many different trap versions of the deck, so many different variants. This is easily like my 30th variant of the deck because I've changed the traps so many times. I thought Trap Dust Shoot was the answer for the longest time. I still think it's a really good card in Horus because it gives you that hand knowledge, which is so powerful because you can know if they have their Mirror Force or Torrential set. But that wasn't the answer. It wasn't enough, because I would look at their hand, snipe their DD Warrior Lady, and then cool, they have Rhoda in hand. Great. So it was the same issue, right? However, my answer for this was 2 cards really. But what's nice is that they're so searchable because you have Necrovalley, which is searchable with Terraforming, which stops your Chaos monsters, and it stops any graveyard interaction with Magician of Faith. But not only that, you combine that with Royal Tribute because you're playing a Reasoning Gate deck, which has a low monster count. So you using Royal Tribute in combination with Necrovalley protects you from the things that kill this deck, which is monsters. Necrovalley protects you against their Chaos Monsters, protects you against their Magician of Faith, their Mask of Darkness, those cards that get those really bad +1s on you, right? And then Royal Tribute, it snipes all their monsters in hand, and if you get this on turn 1, it can be so devastating. And I actually have a replay at the end of this that I'm going to show you. You get to see it in full combo, and it's actually in tournament too. Okay, so here's the deck profile. Let's get into it. And I'm not going to show you the card by card because most of you by now are familiar with the Horus Gate deck. But I do run some spice, namely a Necrovalley, because it says cards in the graveyard can't be banished, which doesn't affect our deck at all. And it says negate any card effect that would move a card in the graveyard to a different place. Negate any card effect that changes types or attributes in the graveyard. So, Necrovalley stops your Chaos Monsters, stops your Magician of Faith, stops your Call the Haunted, stops your Premature. It stops so many different things. It makes their hands even more of a brick, right? When they go into their Call of the Haunted, when they go into their Premature Burial, which are staples in a majority of the decks, those become bricks thanks to Necrovalley, which is also searchable with Terraforming. We only run 2 because 3 is too much, too bricky. But because we're trying to max out on the combo, we also run 3 Royal Tribute. If you control Necrovalley, both players discard any monsters in their hands. That is the spice. Think about that. Think about that. I kid you not. I was dueling Randage, and my very first duel piloting this deck, not even this exact deck, a less optimized version, the first duel, I went turn 1 and I got the Necrovalley Royal Tribute play, and I kid you not, the first duel, he had the first turn, he had only monsters, sniped Thunder Dragon, I think I sniped a Chaos Monster, and I sniped Tribe and Serpent. I kid you not, it was the best feeling ever. My Horus Gate players, you guys know what's up. When you see that Tribe hitting graveyard because of Royal Tribute, you will be addicted to this deck. You will be addicted to this deck. So the other spice that I play in here is I do 2 My Body as a Shield. This card is just so good. It's so good because it covers the traps that you do not like. Mirror Force, Torrential, Ring, protects you from those. Also, it protects you from Tribe, which is a huge issue. Protects you from Tribe, and it also protects you from Jar. Really nice because you set this and it protects you from Jar. I also run 1 Mind Control because it's nice to take their Chaos Monsters if you really have to. Also, it's so good to take their monsters. It's so good to take their set, their set Magician of Faith. I've taken a Merchant before, got Graceful Charity, I went for game, and then I went for game, right? So Mind Control so good, it can stop you from swinging into a Cyberjar, it can stop you from swinging into set DD Warrior Ladies. Mind Control is really spicy, and if anything, it clears their field of 1 monster. And most times they'll only have 1 monster, so if you clear that monster and you have a level 6, and you have your Dragoon, you're swinging in for 47. That's pretty significant. It might be what can get you a game. So Solemn, man, I think the trap lineup in Horus decks is very telling, because Horus decks, they typically play Decree because it's very appealing to go for level 8, which says negate all spells, and to have Decree, which says negate all traps. However, that's not really good because it's a little redundant, because the purpose of the deck is to get Dragoon. The real purpose of the deck is to get Dragoon so he can protect your level 6 and he can protect your level 8. But his effect says it protects all of your dragons from being targeted, so that protects you from a majority of traps anyways. So why are you going to have a trap card that negates all traps when King Dragoon already protects you from most traps? So that becomes a little redundant, and I thought about what is the best trap to use in a Horus deck. I can only run a small amount. Solemn is the best because it protects you from Heavy Storm, which they definitely want a Heavy Storm when you're playing Necrovalley. Not only that, it protects you from those pesky spells like Snatch Steal, right? Lightning Vortex. It can protect any of the spells. Also, it stops traps like Mirror Force, like Torrential. It's really useful for stopping normal summons, for stopping any type of summon too. Stopping a tribe, so huge, right? Being able to stop a BLS, so huge. You can't do that with Decree. Decree will only cover one thing, just traps, and your deck already kind of does that for you. But with Judgment, it protects you from all three. It protects you from spells, traps, and summons, which this deck loses to. And then we have a Mirror Force, because since you're not running Decree, you can throw in Mirror. So that's the spice with this deck. I do have a Smokescreen Gravekeeper Spy side that I go into, and it's really nice because game 2, they side out all their knocks, and then you just go crazy with all of your flip effects. And what's really nice about this, when I side into my Gravekeepers, I actually keep a tiny Horus engine, because we all know Gravekeepers are such good tribute fodder. So you can go into Horus and then potentially go into level 8. So that's the deck. I'm going to show you guys I'm going to share my wisdom after playing this deck for a bit, just so you don't have to suffer like I did. So here's some tips. Game 1, you can activate Necro, activate Reasoning. They call 4-star, level 4, sorry. You get a free special summon. It's such easy bait because Necrovalley and Reasoning, such a weird combination, but you can abuse it in this deck. Horus decks already get around Reasoning calls pretty easily, but this makes it even more free. Game 2 and Game 3, I made it such a low monster count, so it's very easy to do the mental math statistically in your head. What are the chances that I'm going to go get my level 6? Or what are the chances I'm going to get Fusilier? Right? I think I only run 9 targets. I run Demok, 2 Cyberstein, 3 Fusilier, and then 3 level 6. So those are your targets. If you have 1 level 6 in hand, and then you use Reasoning, that's actually slightly stacked in your favor because your opponent will most likely call 6, but they don't realize that you have a 6 in hand. So right, it kind of ups the odds that they're not going to hit the Reasoning call. So just try to be sneaky with your reasonings and do the mental math before you use them. Something else that's big is setting Fusilier before you meta. Because if you normal summon Fusilier and then they Ring of Destruction you, that's really going to suck. If you normal summon Fusilier and then they compulse you, that's going to suck. But if you set it, it allows for less interaction between you and your opponent. And then when you Metamorphosis, obviously you tribute, and that's cost, so it leaves the field right away. And then you can go into your King Dragoon, and that guy can't be targeted. So now their Ring doesn't work, their Compulse doesn't work, so on and so forth. Meta is just so good in this deck because you can meta Horus into Ryu Senshi, and Ryu Senshi is just Jinzo on steroids, and he looks a little roided up. Why he's Jinzo on steroids is because you can't book a Moon him, and you can't snatch him because he can't be targeted by spells. So that's really powerful, and you just pay 1,000 to negate a normal trap. Most of the times you're sitting on him because you're trying to out the Mirror Force or you're trying to out the Torrential. Also, Scapegoat plus meta equals Thousand Eyes Restrict, which is steal one of their monsters. And it also is bait because they'll probably activate something. If they don't, then you contribute it for Horus level 6. There you go. You can go into your play from there. So Scapegoat plus meta into Thousand Eyes is also really good tribute fodder because it's a special summon. So just another option there. So the last couple of tips, don't Reasoning or Monster Gate into Fusilier if you don't have meta in hand. If you know that you have 3 level 7s in deck, don't pop that Reasoning, don't pop that Monster Gate if you don't have meta. Because if you go into Fusilier And even if you have King Dragoon, your level 8 out, your level 6 out, Fusilier is not a dragon. Even though he's Fusilier Dragon, he's actually a machine. So they can snatch steal him, swing into your King Dragoon, and then now your lock is gone, right? Your protection from targeting effects is gone. So don't have that happen. Don't let that happen to you. Also, just something simple, prioritize my body as a shield before Solemn. Pay the 15 up front before you pay half your life points, right? Also, this is a really big one. You have to use your Reasoning and Monster Gate before you commit to your normal summon. You want to see what you mill with Reasoning and Monster Gate. Because if you mill into a Fusilier and you have, and you had a Cyberstein in hand, it would be very tempting to go normal summon into Cyberstein, pay the 5,000, go into King Dragoon, go into your play. However, if you had waited and you used Reasoning and you get Fusilier and you have meta in hand, now you can get King Dragoon without paying 5,000 life points. But instead, now you can normal summon Cyberstein and then pay the 5,000 life points, but go into a utility fusion monster that fits the current board, fits the current game state, right? You can go into your Ryu Senshi. Maybe you can go into your Gatling Dragon because you're just trying to clear all their face downs, right? By playing Reasoning and Monster Gate first before committing to your normal summon, it allows you to better play the game, right? Play the deck, because you want to give yourself as many options as you can. So just use your normal summon last. Also, because Monster Gate and Reasoning special summons can be backloaded. Alright, so I did all this talking. The deck sounds great, sounds fun, the theory sounds like it would work, but seeing is believing. So let's check out this replay. This is actually from one of my matches in GoatFormat.com's 3v3 tournament that just passed. So this was from one of my matches, and I opened the God Hand, and I can show you what this deck can do. So here we see he opens pretty decent. He has Exiled, BLS, Snatch, Kaiku, Compulse, Book. BLS, not great in the beginning. Exiled, he's nicer to get later. But I mean, definitely not a bad hand, right? Definitely workable. So what's interesting here is that what's so nice is that most times when you see Royal Tribute and you see 2 monsters in hand, you're bummed because you know that one of those monsters is going to hit graveyard this turn. But this is Horus Gate, so you get around that. Even though I have 2 monsters in hand, I can get both of them out of my hand and then go into Royal Tribute without having to worry about discarding monsters. So let's check this out. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. So we go into Necro first. He doesn't activate anything, so I go into Cyber, pay the 5,000. I'm going into Dragoon, which allows me to special summon a dragon from my hand. Now, my hand is empty of monsters. What's even more disgusting is I have meta. It's like I mentioned in the stratagem section. Boom, you go into Ryu Senshi, now I don't have to worry about Mirror Force. I set my Solemn, activate Royal Tribute, goodbye Exiled, goodbye BLS, goodbye Kaiku. I took 3 cards off of him. This is combo deck. You use all of your cards for the combo, and then guess what? Your opponent, they have all the outs in hand because they have all their cards. They didn't use all their cards in the combo. But guess what? With Royal Tribute, you can equalize it. Not only that, you out the monsters that are going to cause you issues. So, love this. I swing in, not fearing anything. I mentioned before, Ryu Senshi's Jinzo on steroids because he can't be booked. He actually did have the book, but Ryu Senshi can't be booked. And King Dragoon can't be targeted. So I'm able to hit him for more than 3,000. So now he can't even use Cyberstein if he were to snatch steal it. And then he goes into Pot of Greed, and I just say, I'm good on your Pot of Greed, and he basically just quits there. And he expresses frustration because I had all the outs. Anyways, that's the deck. If you guys are Horus Gate players, please check this deck out. I think you're going to like it. It's so spicy. It's so fun. I love combo decks. This deck is so flashy. If you guys appreciate the spice, please, I'd really appreciate it if you could check out my channel. I'm looking forward to uploading way more deck profiles with a lot more spice. And huge shout out to my homie BMCool247 and Fez Ferrari. They helped me playtest this deck, and they really helped me push this deck to the next level. And shout outs to Randage as well. He's a GOAT format OG, and he gave me some really good advice on this deck, and it was really awesome getting feedback from an OG, considering I'm a newer player. And last but not least, huge shout outs to Big Bro Jinzo for letting me post this on the channel. Skilled Brown Magician, check out my channel. Hope you appreciate the spice. Peace.